I feel like we could lose like physical connection.
Yeah.
Because if your reality became so specific to you that we're not even gonna care about.
I'm not even thinking
Josie's reality over there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know Josie. She might be in my reality, but is Josie how I want her to be Josie?
Exactly.
So it's like, bitch,
exactly.
It's crazy.
Buckle up and get ready to travel through the cosmos of your mind. Unwind and let your ears take you on a journey through time. Every week, we discuss topics ranging from space exploration to the fall of celebrity culture. We look through the lens of our past, present, and future to decide if we should update or delete this from our reality. My name is George Berrios, and my name is Nasir, Joachim, and get ready to... The perspectives conveyed in this episode as an all-installment of Experience Reality consists solely of the subjective opinions of the host and reference allegations. The content presented should not be referenced as irrefutable fact. This podcast is intended for purely entertainment purposes only.
Experiencing reality. Experience reality.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Also, when you speak towards, because you like do this and
it feels great out here.
Feels really good.
Okay, I think we should be good this time.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? This is actually recording. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Experience Reality. Oh wait, we're supposed to whisper.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome to the first episode of
Experience Reality.
I'm your host, Nasir. Welcome.
And I'm your other host, George Berrios.
And I am super freaking excited about this podcast. Are you?
I'm super excited to be here on our first/second/third/fourth episode. So
yeah, you guys, it's been a journey behind the scenes, but it's been a journey.
2 months prior.
Oops, bitch, this is gonna be a struggle. I can see it already.
It's been good. It's been growing pains. It's that horrible time between sleep and the internet. I'd rather sleep than be in reality. All these bugs are getting into our house. It's gonna help us grow in the future. It's gonna make it a lot easier because it's gonna keep getting better and better.
What the bitch?
It's a big ass.
That is a big butterfly, whatever the fuck that shit is.
Yeah, exactly. Because even with this, I'm kind of thinking of like, even when it comes to the growing pains and what's going on, and I'll explain in just a moment, it kind of helps me also gain more clarity of why I'm even doing this, or why do we want to do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same?
I feel like this is unconventional. You know, this podcast, we're just talking about unconventional thinking, doing it unconventionally for obvious or not obvious reasons. Depends on if you're on YouTube or listening to us. Yeah. But it's harder to do a podcast in certain situations. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's just further pushing our agenda of critical thinking.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hold on.
What's going on?
Huh? It's just the shirt keeps blowing. But that point exactly. You know what I mean?
You did that right there. Example number 3 or whatever.
Yeah. and the reason being that we've had the growing pains and just like it's been a journey because we filmed the first episode, went out into the middle of the sand dunes, and I forgot an adapter.
Oops, bitch, this is gonna be a struggle.
Yep.
And with that, we couldn't do anything.
We just went home.
Upset. And we were like busy too. But then that same day, didn't we end up just filming the second episode in a different location?
We said, fuck it, we're still gonna do it. We went to a different location and got it done.
Went to go grab the adapter. And then we were like, you know what, just let's film the second episode. The location was closer than what we were filming in the sand dunes. And we just like, let's just overcome the odds.
Yep.
Overcome the odds. And we went hiking to that destination, which that was fun. And we were on a time crunch that day because we had to get haircuts, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a haircut appointment also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot going on. And then the first episode, then now we're back again. The camera drops, cracks the camera. It's a part of the journey. It's a part of the journey. And then the computer overheats again. So now we're here. No, but all of the trials and tribulations, if you would call it, has really helped me identify, like, why is it that we're doing this? Like, obstacle after obstacle after obstacle of getting this started. What is the why for us even doing this podcast? And that's what this has really pushed me. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And I think the biggest reason is we are critical thinkers, and us together, we really enjoy just having these critical thinking conversations and just expanding our minds on different topics. So we want to share that with you guys so you guys can have a glimpse of how we do that with your friends, with your family, and just keep expanding your reality, because your reality is what you make of it, essentially.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I'm sorry.
Eating on the podcast already? Is this not like bad podcast etiquette? You got the nuts in your mouth? Okay.
I'm sorry. I just thought you were going to talk a little longer. And I was like, let me have another sip.
He's like, yeah, I need a break. Let him talk. I need some snacks.
I mean, we've been through a lot already.
Yeah, we've been recording basically for a whole podcast like length, but
yeah,
we're keeping it rolling, okay?
And that's okay.
But yeah, I mean, not only is this something we enjoy doing, like we do this off the camera, we'll just be driving, talking about anything from virtual reality to sexuality, gender, religion, spirituality, whatever it is. But also because we want to encourage you guys to do the same, because that's how you overcome your traumas. You just talk about things. You have conversations that expand the way that you think about things. Because essentially we are our environment. Yeah. You know, we perceive our environment and create our reality. So when you keep expanding that reality, you can make it anything. Yeah. You know?
Seriously. And I know, like, for me, since I've seen both sides of the spectrum when it comes to a lot of stuff, it made me realize that your surroundings and your consciousness is what truly creates your reality.
Exactly.
And we're going to take different topics, different situations, different even people, and break those down and think about, how did we think about it before? Because we may have thought about it in like a simpler way before, or a small-minded way before. What do we think about that thing, person, or situation now? And how did we get here? You know what I mean? And then it could be in the future.
Exactly. And all those, and the way that you perceive things changes the way that you experience life. Yeah. You know? So it could open opportunities for you that you never thought before. Like, you might be doing jobs that you never even thought you were capable of. You might be participating in projects that you were just like never even knew about. Yeah. You know? So
and it's like, even with this situation that we're in, if we were more negative minded, we probably wouldn't even start this podcast.
No.
Because especially me, I'm just going to be honest, I was just like, fuck it, it's time to be done. This is a sign that we just shouldn't do this shit. But I really appreciate you for, staying optimistic and like pushing, like, no, babe, like, it's fine, like, we can do this. Yeah. It's just obstacles that we need to overcome and move forward.
And I've actually realized that lately. Like, people have been telling me that I am a very optimistic person. Yeah. Whenever there is a problem, my first thing is, let's get out of the negative mindset so we can start solving the problem. You know what I mean? And I'm not perfect. Sometimes I do kind of get stuck in negative. Everybody does. But I feel like I've really grown in that way, that no matter what, I try to maintain positivity, because what the fuck is the point? You know?
I agree with that. And the longer that we've been together, too, I've seen the more optimism. Because sometimes we play both sides of the coin, where I'm the more negative one and you're more optimistic. Or you're the more negative one and I'm more optimistic, depending on what the situation is. Exactly. You know what I mean? But I know within this, I appreciate you for being optimistic and still, like, pushing through. And saying, like, you know what, we got this. We're going to be good.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And the purpose of us doing this is so much bigger than the small issues or situations that it's taken to get here.
Yeah.
You know?
And the reality of it is, that we'll probably even see like reasons why we did that we didn't even understand before. Yeah. Because things like this help you understand yourself on another level. Like, for me, the reality of being on camera, like, I'm going to be able to, like, see myself from a third person point of view. I've never done that before. Yeah. Especially not in a conversation manner. Yeah. So it's going to help me grow in a different way that I don't understand right now, but I'm sure you have, because you've been on the camera a lot in this type of position.
Yeah, like I totally understand how like being on camera and people judging you like from social media or just like what are you posting and putting out there, how that can change your perception of you, the world, and just reality alone. Hey girl, you decided to come be nosy? Hey. I'm like, out of all places, they decided to sit right in front of us.
Are they like coming down here?
No, I don't think so. No, they're like walking past.
They're not bold enough.
Nah.
They're not bold enough.
No.
Yeah, it was a journey to getting down here.
Exactly. It was but it was worth it.
It was worth it for sure.
I just know and understand that our mission for the podcast is so much bigger than these small obstacles that we've had.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that we're here.
Yeah.
And so, what were you going to say?
Yeah, and it's just that is what they are, just small obstacles. There's so many bigger things in life for us to really worry about. Yeah. That's one of the first things that you need to let go of is worrying about the little things. Like, there's always going to be challenges. Life is not easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
And so, with each episode, we're going to take that situation or a topic or person and give you a definition and then also start diving into like what we've thought about it before. Definition.
Yeah.
Of what we thought about it before and what we think of it now and what we can think of it in the future. So when it comes to the definitions, we're going to give the regular definition like that we found in the dictionary.
The Google.
And then, and then Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. So let's start with the regular Google most popular definition, which is...
the world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them.
Now, the Urban Dictionary, the fun one, is...
that horrible time between sleep and the internet. I'd rather sleep than be in reality.
And honestly, I feel like that's probably what a lot of people think reality is nowadays.
Yeah, and that's sad. And the thing is, when we were looking up definitions for the Urban Dictionary, it was so hard to find definitions that weren't like some negative.
Yeah.
And like suicidal slightly.
It's almost giving like we don't want to exist in reality anymore.
Yeah.
And I see that in the world. I see a lot of people not living in reality. Even though reality can be whatever you want, they want to escape it, which is really sad. We don't want to do that, y'all. We gotta enjoy this shit. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's fucking amazing.
And it's like what I thought of reality before is so different than what I think of it now. Like what I thought of reality before was such a small way of like the present, like of kind of what that definition is saying. The dictionary definition is the present.
Exactly.
And what's going on in that moment. And the actions that's being played in that moment.
Yeah.
But how I think of it now, more context, more nuance. There's a lot more going on.
Yeah,
There's a lot
flavor.
more to think about.
A lot more flavor.
Exactly.
Because, like, to what you were saying about how we saw reality in the past, I think as a whole, reality to us as society was what we all had in common, which was a lot before, because we only had access to so much content / information, and it was the immediate information around us. You know, before the internet, we didn't have access to the people's opinion in China, in Egypt, in Italy. We just had, if you're from Atlanta, Georgia, you have the opinions from Atlanta, Georgia. If you're from Memphis, Tennessee, that's the opinions you have, Memphis, Tennessee, you know?
To grasp there is like everyone consuming the same type of media, the same type of things, the same type of situations, where now, with technology involved, there's so many more things to consume. You're consuming social media and based on who you follow on it.
Exactly.
And there's multiple different platforms that push out different narratives, different things, and different realities. You know?
So, like, basically, in a way, reality used to come from more so the people around you, the things physically around you, and that used to affect the person you were, versus now I feel like there's so many more factors other than just the people around you. And that's why I feel like some people's reality is completely online. Like, they don't have people around them. Their influence of who they are and how they influence the world is completely online, you know?
Yeah. And I even watched a video about, like, the newer generation with, like, rotting, like, bed rotting. And them being on their phones, like just being in bed the whole time. If it's consuming Netflix, Hulu, Pandora, whatever, or it's scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
If you're just bed riding and just consuming that television and that social media, that's going to be your reality.
Yeah. That's it.
And so that's totally different of what realities were before. And that's kind of why generations are a thing.
Yeah.
Because each generation experiences reality
Completely
totally fucking different.
Yeah. Because even like when it comes to like international events or national events,
Yeah.
that affects that generation in a completely different way. Like for us, we had a lot of fucking shit happen in our generation.
Between 9/11, between the first black president, the first female vice president, pandemics, social media becoming a thing,
the legalization of gay marriage in the United States.
Exactly.
Like, everything happened in our lifetimes, in our generation.
And the thing is now that social media is so prominent in our lives, is that we are consuming now the reality of what's going on around the world.
Exactly.
That then affects our current realities, where before it didn't necessarily do that.
Exactly.
We didn't know what was going over in Pakistan,
Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Palestine. Please cut that from the video editor, which is him. Cut that from the video. He knows Palestine.
Yeah, but we didn't know what was going on in Palestine.
Exactly.
We didn't know what was going on in the Middle East in general. All of these major events were not things that we were able to consume or understand because we were only consuming one source of media, which was the television.
And it was a lot easier to control what we consumed as a state or country or as a group, like in general, whatever it is. It was so much easier to control what that group of people saw because they could only consume media through physically delivered news,
like
paper or word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah.
Whereas now, like I feel like you can choose what media to take in, or sometimes, unfortunately, it chooses you. I've noticed too, because if you just happen to get on the wrong side of TikTok, now you're being influenced. So it's also a little. It's different nowadays.
But that's the thing. There's so much context and nuance that we can go on and 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 on.
And that's the reality of it.
And bring so many different perspectives into it because you can consume. You have the choice of what you consume, but then on top of that, another context to it is you have the discernment to decipher what's right or wrong, what's real or fake.
Yeah.
And then what goes into that is then, okay, why is this thing a thing? Mm-hmm. And why is it real? Why is it fake? There's so much context and nuance that affects our realities that a lot of us just aren't thinking about nowadays. Exactly. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are thinking in such a simple-minded way that it's hard for all of us to exist in each other's realities.
Yeah, completely.
And that's what life is now today. Is where at least how I perceive reality today, versus like before. It was what's going on in that moment, what's the actions going on, what's happening. Versus now, I'm living in my own individual reality, being a part of other people's realities.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what, people call it being woke or whatever. It's just your mind has expanded to the point that you can see that you have your own reality and people have their own realities, and we also live in the same reality, and that can all happen at the same time. Yeah. Like, you don't have to see things how I see them. They don't have to see things how I see them, but we exist in the same world, and we can coexist and no problems there. You know what I mean?
And I think people just have a hard time with people not agreeing with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's okay for people to disagree. Now let's question it. You know what I mean? And even at the end of the conversation, we can agree to disagree, because that's not our realities. We may have grown up differently. We may have had different situations, different realities, but we can now have the conversation to either come to an agreement or agree to disagree, because that's not our reality.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, sometimes it's okay that, we share these things in common. These are the things that we do together. These are the things we experience together. And these are the things you experience on your own. and you can choose to partake in that if you want to or not. But it's your choice to experience it how you want it to.
Yeah. So let's break it down like this way. So you have the physical reality. What's going on physically? You and I are sitting here. We're having a conversation, and we're breaking down what reality is.
Exactly.
That's the physical reality.
Yeah.
Then we have the consciousness, the individual consciousness that creates that person's reality.
Yeah. That individual's perception is their reality.
Exactly.
Yep. And then now we have shared realities in a way, which are like virtual realities or like the internet or just like communities that you create. You know what I mean? Like cults. That could be a reality that if they program you to think in such a way that certain way of thinking becomes your reality, there you go. You're part of a cult.
Exactly.
You know?
Do you think that like maybe they try to push like a reality as such like in the moment to take away the fact that like reality is really what's going up here in our brains?
What do you mean by that? Like such in the moment? Like they try to push you to live in the moment so much?
Yeah. Like reality is just the moment because it's not necessarily just the moment. It's also what's going up here as well.
Yeah.
And understanding why you're thinking the way that you think.
Well, I think they want to keep you in the moment because the moment is the physical world. And I think it's when there's so many of us on this planet, way too many, honestly, it's not good for the planet as we can tell, that it's easier to push people to think a single way so that we can all coexist easier if we all think the same. But unfortunately, there's too many of us for that to actually happen.
Yeah. And we're getting to the point to where we're so mixed in generation, and Gen Z is such a vocal and demanding like generation of respect and love that like it is creating conflict with so many different generations because I feel like Gen Z does think a little bit more out of the box.
We're very inclusive. We're very inclusive of different ways of thinking. Like what I've noticed is that us as a generation, and I would say we're the older on the Gen Z side, so we're like icons. Like we have always kind of been like, you know, all that shit that society identifies you as doesn't matter to who you are as a person truly. Yeah. Because that's a combination of all those things on different spectrums that create who you are. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're an artistic person and also an athlete, but you're like super into like you're mostly into art, you're gonna be more surrounded by that, but you still like sports. You know what I mean? And that's a simple way of thinking about it.
Exactly. Oh, there goes a person. Hey. You'll probably end up seeing him at some point. There he goes.
We got a live audience.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to podcast.
Yeah, literally. But I think that's the best thing about when it comes to like reality is understanding your reality and what your reality really is and taking it back to self. I think that's the big difference of what I feel like reality is now for me is that now I'm like, that's on your timeline. Yeah. That has nothing to do with me. Yeah, it'd be like train wrecks. It'd be like train wrecks going on like around me and like situations and things. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah. You know? Because you can let it affect you or not. On an emotional level, on an energetic level, things happen. But if you like know that on your reality that doesn't affect you personally, it doesn't affect you personally. You can move on and just let it be a part of everybody else's reality.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to that aspect of thinking of like different timelines, things happening to different people and for whatever situations or reasons, I also feel like now when it comes to like creating your own reality, it goes on based on your emotions, how you feel to look at life. When I feel like I've looked at life in a more positive aspect, that may have raised my vibration to put me on a certain timeline where I enjoy life. The things that I want are happening for me. The things that I've seen before up here and like visions or dreams are now becoming realities that are positive things.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think like manifestation is like some woo-woo magic stuff, but it's your thoughts. If you are thinking about something constantly, that's going to become your world. If you're thinking negatively, I'm depressed, I don't like my life all the time, that's what your life is going to become. I've been there before at certain points in my life.
When I used to say all the time, like, oh my gosh, I hate my life. I hate my life. I did.
You hated your life.
But then when I think about, like, what was it to really hate? There wasn't that much to really hate about my life that it was a necessity for me to always be like, I hate my life. But I think at that time, my reality was influenced by like social media and that early age of social media. And a lot of it was negative and trash.
Yeah.
You know?
And also when you're younger, you're not aware of how in control you are of your reality. You know what I mean? When you're younger, you think that your reality is you have to follow these steps that the people around you are telling you to follow.
Yeah.
It's all good?
Yeah, it's fine.
So, and I feel like even in past generations, I feel like the more we've progressed to time, the more aware we've become of reality.
Exactly.
Hello.
There's people that invite
they're
us
on
to the podcast.
Yeah. But see, they're in our reality. They just entered our reality. Like they're gonna be our first live guest on the first episode. Like why?
No, but that's also the thing of the podcast that like is the why, the meaning, and the nuance behind it. It's just like being in abstract places, having conversation, and that being normalized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here having a conversation in an abstract place, in an abstract presenting, and you know, like our clothes and things like that. But it's meant for it to just be normal. You know what I mean?
And sometimes creating your own reality comes with its challenges.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like getting all this equipment out here. It hasn't been easy. It's taken months of planning and trial and errors and cracks and heat and all this type of shit, you know? And I feel like that just comes with us being aware and knowing that we can keep fighting to make that reality come true. Yeah. And I feel like generations before, like they weren't aware as much as we are of how in control we are.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest difference, that now we know we're in control and you can choose from so many different realities.
Ooh. Yeah. Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. And you can. Because I remember, like, even with like being younger, my dad used to always say that I lived in the past so much. Like, you're always thinking about the past, you're always thinking about what's going on in the past. But I think it's really because, especially now being an adult now, I've been able to recognize is I needed to work through the things that happened to me in the past in order for me to continue to live in the present and to see the future.
Exactly.
And to be okay and happy with where I am.
Yeah.
I needed to work through that trauma and those issues to now no longer think about them.
Exactly. And I think it's like people they see things so simply, like black and white, that they thought like, oh, living in the past is negative because you can't change it. But no, thinking about the past helps you in the present. That's why they say you're healing your inner child, because that moment in the past is not in our reality right now, but it's affecting your reality. So it is part of your reality. It's
so it is
influence until you no longer have it in your psyche. Because like you were saying, one of the realities is the reality in our head. So even though it doesn't exist in this reality, it's still in this one.
It's still in our...
And then we project it out into this one.
Exactly. What's going on in your head then gets projected out into the world and does become an actual reality. And then you start affecting other people's realities, especially if yours is negative, it's simple-minded, it's non-inclusive. When you start living in the space of being happy with yourself and understanding yourself and being okay with yourself, you then project such a positive and accepting reality, because you realize that everybody else's context and nuance and that their realities, it's just what's happening and going on with them, and you cannot let that affect you.
Exactly. And that's why you have to protect your own reality sometimes. And your reality is chasing the things that you want in life, but also removing the things that aren't getting you to the reality that you want, aren't influencing you in the way that you become the person for that dream reality of yours. Because even for us in the present moment, like, we've been thinking about doing what we're doing right now for years now.
Yeah.
And it's just becoming because we've been thinking about it, we've been talking about it, putting ourselves around people that, you know, push us to do these things and taking away things, habits, and people that were going to hold us back. And it's hard. It's not easy to create your own reality.
It's not. And sorry, you always just stop on like a part that like I feel like something else is coming.
I'll work on it. You know, that's going to be a part of it. Me watching myself and learning how to have conversation on camera.
And that's another aspect and context of reality.
Yeah,
I've been on camera since I was in like middle school.
I've been on Zoom Like,
Like I was like one of the first people in my family to like have like a camcorder and just be recording shit. I had this like orange little like camcorder that flipped open,
yeah.
you know, like on the side with the screen, and I would record. One of our first big trips that I was like record all the time, and when we came to LA. No, we came to San Diego and we drove over to LA.
Oh,
but you know, the camera has always been in my life. I've always loved just like creating shit and doing shit, and I think as we do this podcast, you'll start to love it, not in the same way, but in your own way, you know?
Yeah, I think even when I was a kid, I had some experience with the camera, but it was different. It was more like comedic. I saw myself as more as like a funny part of whatever we were doing. You know what I mean? I never took myself seriously, so I never like used my voice to communicate actual ideas and thoughts to the camera.
Do you feel like you were doing that because of your size at that time? And you felt like, because I know with like, unfortunately, like bigger people and fat people, it's like they feel like they always have to be the butt of the joke. You know what I mean? Because that's what media, TV, movies, and all of that have made bigger people is the butt of the joke. So do you feel like that's what influenced your reality, that you felt like only time when you're on camera, you had to be the butt of the joke?
Yeah, I felt like I had, in order to overcome whatever perception people had of me because I was big, I would be funnier, and I would be okay being above the joke. And at sleepovers, I ate the dare food that was fucking disgusting. And you know what I mean? I was always getting the fat jokes, but over time, I've overcome that. And I think as a world, we've also like kind of progressed past that. Like, you're not just whatever media portrays, you know?
Yeah. You're not. Whatever you think of yourself, however you feel about yourself.
Yep.
You know, and what you project out into the world. I know for me, I'm so context. I'm so nuanced. And so are you.
Yep.
And we have to be okay with that. And I feel like finally in my life, I'm okay with being context and nuance. I'm okay with being me. Because how I want to be treated is being direct. Let's talk. Let's open up conversation. Let's challenge each other.
Yeah.
Let's debate each other because I'm not right. You may not be right. Let's get to the middle of what actually may be right.
Exactly.
Or one of us might actually be right and helping the other person through something.
Exactly.
And so I feel like I've only been able to do that because now I understand myself a lot clearer than what I did before. And I understand my reality before was affected by my past and my traumas and my situations that I've overcome that is now blossoming to what my reality is today.
Yep.
And how I can influence and help or just be myself around other people and give them the permission, even if they don't say anything or I don't say anything.
Exactly.
But me being myself and living my reality will give somebody else permission to do so.
So what I'm understanding is reality, you have to basically, reality is the content that we take. It's the things that we think about constantly and then how that affects this reality. No. So you have to basically delete all these files before that you had, these negative files. But it's not an easy delete. You don't just delete it. You need to go to the antivirus. You need to go to Best Buy to, what are they called? The smart guys or whatever? The Best Buy people that install the antivirus software. Anyways, you know, you have to unload all that shit to add new content to your life. And that's what you're doing now in the present. It's like, now we're at a point in life where we're adding the content to ourselves and creating this reality.
While also appreciating the things that we did go through and that did happen to us. Exactly. And what is happening to us, you know? Yeah. Because there are so many things within the negative and within the trauma and the things that have happened that I'm actually grateful for. Exactly. And when I started looking at it as gratitude, that made me look at it in such a different way that has now affected my reality in the present. Yeah. So the conscious reality affects the physical reality.
Exactly.
It's how I view it now. And I also feel like you also view it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are just what we decide. And it's not as easy as me saying it, but you are what you decide you are. You know, and it takes practice. It takes like consciously not saying things or consciously looking in the mirror and saying things if it's that deep.
I used to do that. Like, I used to talk to myself in the mirror and be like, you are stunning. You look great. You are that bitch. You know what I mean? And it's like, you have to, because I was in situations where nobody was being my cheerleader.
Yep.
I was doing all of these amazing things, from being a 5-sport athlete, swimming, football, track, basketball, even a little lacrosse.
Exactly.
Being editor-in-chief of my yearbook. And I wasn't given the props.
Exactly.
I genuinely wasn't.
Yep.
And I had to be my own cheerleader and look around and say, like, there's nobody fucking doing this shit.
Exactly.
Nobody.
And you have to be your own cheerleader sometimes before other people are, you know,
Exactly.
because you're not going to star as the star of the cheerleader team. But if you want to be the star of the cheerleader and you believe yourself and you tell yourself over and over and you do what it takes to become that person, you'll be the motherfucking star.
Star, exactly.
And it takes a lot of discipline and confidence. And
it takes a lot of discipline,
practice.
a lot of confidence, and for me, just a lot of analyzing why things happen. And that's where then social intelligence and emotional intelligence come into play, because those are huge factors that control our reality. Is how do we understand things socially? How do we understand things emotionally? And then that then affects our reality on top of that.
And how do we react to those things being challenged? And how do we put that on other people's realities? You know?
Yeah.
And that's also going to affect how they come back and affect your reality. So like you said, it's like, you know, the Russian dolls where you keep owning them and there's another one and there's another one and there's another one. And there's
Exactly.
That's what reality is.
Yeah.
So this first episode is going to feel a little bit like that. Like we just keep opening and there's more and more and more. Because that's
Which
what it is.
kind of leads us into like what the future of reality could be, because I feel like as we get more progressed within technology, we're gonna realize and see. I mean, it's already been proven with science wise, and the bigger that this podcast gets, the more we incorporate like doing research and having quoted sources and showing you guys resources to go to see these kind of things.
Yes.
But that's a lot of time invested.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get the viewership up.
We need some coins coming in before we get to do that. Honestly.
I'm going to need the viewership.
Follow,
Bump it
like,
up.
share to your story, whatever the fuck you got to do. Patreon.
Just share the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast or wherever you are on social media, because it's genuinely going to help more people to become critical. What's wrong with you?
Oh, it sounded like an ad, so I was smiling.
No, it's not an ad. It's
I know. I'm playing.
I'm just saying, just like share it out to other people. Just get more people involved in the conversation. That's the big thing about it. And that's what I'm saying here. It's like the more people that we get into the conversation, the more research that we can do.
Exactly.
Because we'll have the time to be able to do it.
Exactly.
The more people that we can bring into the conversation, because we'll have the resources to incorporate those people into the conversation live.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once again, there's so much context and nuance of why we want you to share.
Now we're going to talk about the future of how we see reality.
So what I see reality of what it could be in the future, and it's a tad bit scary because there's so many layers to what it can be in the future, because you have social media growing, and we see the influence of what social media is. We have celebrity and influencers. That plays another part, but that's also crumbling down this year. And then we have the technology everlasting growth with AI and
VR,
new devices.
AR. There's so many different things happening. And
exactly.
Honestly, this is probably going to be my favorite part of the podcast, because I feel like this is where we really go a little crazy when we're off the camera. We're just like talking about what it could be. But it's because I feel like the more we progress, the more things reality could be, and I feel like it's just becoming more and more customizable.
Yeah,
like
if you for instance, I could have glasses on that are AR glasses that I'm seeing our shared reality in a total different way than what you are experiencing it as, because you might not have the glasses, like the Apple AR glasses that are coming out, or the other different types of AR glasses that are already out and that have already been in the world. That can reshape your reality.
And I feel like it's just giving people more and more access to different content.
Yeah. And then when it comes to money-wise, how much money do you have to gain more access that changes your reality? Because there's probably rich-ass motherfuckers that already had this technology 5-10 years ago before it's even been shown to the public. Now, come on.
Come on.
And so they understand reality in a total different way.
Yeah.
where it's like, I feel like we experience reality in a total different way because we don't have that access or money or resources to then now open up a different level of reality when it comes to the truth, but also the truth of like what reality is, but also having the money to gain more monetary things that may change our reality because our reality is our environment.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, since humans are animals of tools, like the more tools that we have access to, that's just the more access we have to different realities and different ways of thinking and just different ways of going about life in general. You know what I mean? So I've even heard about people that have been traveling to other countries lately outside the United States talking about how their technology is advanced on another level.
Yeah.
They're on a different reality.
High-speed trains. That's one right there. That's super fucking simple. I mean, it's not that simple, but for the government to be able to do, they just don't want to do. It's not profitable enough for them.
Exactly.
That it's not something that they feel like tax dollars should go to, but instead it should be able to fund wars and fund suppressing already suppressed groups.
Yeah.
Instead, that's where money should go towards. And that's why people in different countries live in different realities. Because if you become more well-traveled, your reality up here, conscious-wise, will then change how you move throughout the world, will then change your physical reality. Because the more that I've traveled, the more I appreciate certain things. The more that I travel, the more it shows me different things. Because if I've never seen it before, how am I supposed to know that that's an actual reality that people live in and that I can live in?
Yeah. And that's why in the future, I feel like it's just going to become more and more accessible for us to have that without actually physically traveling. You'll be able to experience other people's cultures, other people's language. I mean, you already do.
Through VR.
We already do. But on another level. With virtual reality and AR, you could literally travel the world from the comfort of your home.
No, let's talk about virtual reality real quick. Because we have like an Oculus.
Yeah, we
and
do.
It's crazy that you can really jump into other worlds. And your brain literally thinks that's the reality that's going on.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily able to decipher the physical reality of what you're doing versus the virtual reality that you're in. Mm-hmm. Unless you really are consciously paying attention in that moment, but still your brain scientifically can't decipher the difference.
Yeah. And I think that's like what is becoming, like that's us stepping into the future. Like I feel like that's what we're going into the fact that we can control when we step into a different reality in such manner. You know, we know that we can trick our brain in that way.
And you can learn so much more, you know? Like, there's so much more that you can learn with VR and AR that you may have not had access to be able to learn where you're at. Because if you've only lived in California, or if you only lived in Georgia, that's what your reality is going to be. Like, we have a friend that just recently moved to Colorado, and it's changed his outlook on life because he's only lived in Georgia.
Exactly.
He has a different understanding of what reality could be for him and for anyone because he's gotten out of that one place that he's always been.
Yeah. And that's sometimes all it takes. It's like you changing your physical reality to change your conscious reality. So they go back and forth.
Exactly.
They affect each other so much.
and then it's also like the more accessibility that people get to like VRs and ARs, they'll be able to then change their reality because they don't even have to travel to certain places or go to certain places or experience them physically to then change their conscious reality because they've seen it consciously. So they're then able to visualize it to then become their physical reality.
Exactly.
Because if you never experienced it, you don't know it's a thing.
Yep.
You don't know it's a part of what your reality can actually be.
And this is all it's kind of scary, like you were saying in the beginning, in the future, because VR, AR, and then we also have AI, which is also tied on all this. And it's like, I was just thinking about like, it's all positive because they're going to connect us in a different way. We can experience different realities.
But if it's in the wrong hands.
And also if AI gets involved, you know, people could create reality with only things that like they want it to be in their reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that creates also more close-minded people in a
Yeah.
way. So it could really go back and forth. When the VR with the AR with the AI, we got too much
because the thing is, sometimes you can get so inclusive to where, depending on you as a person, you can become even more narrow-minded.
yeah.
It's like getting so far deep in that it becomes the opposite of what you actually intended it on being.
You became so open-minded that you have no opinions now.
Yeah.
Like,
That's crazy.
that's what it's giving. And so the future of reality is anything you want it to be, but at the same time, it could be only what you are living in.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And then, no, I think the future of reality is really of what you make of it. It's
Yeah.
always been that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Reality has always been what you make of it. Like, even if you're in the hood, in the most impoverished place, if you have the optimism to be able to say, like, I love my life, I love my reality, and stay positive, you can still have a positive outlook and still have a positive reality. But you're still, in a way, closed-minded because you haven't been able to experience other aspects of what reality truly is because you're not as well-traveled. You haven't met as many people. You haven't interacted with different types of people and situations that changes your reality. And so going into the future, I think reality is really of what you make it, but it needs to be rooted in...
Is that a storm?
Is that like a storm? Like, is this supposed to rain?
I don't know.
Oh, no, it's a plane. Oh, I see it. It's a fighter jet. Hey,
There's
y'all.
also a drone right there.
A drone?
There's a drone right there. Are they recording us?
I don't know. That's so interesting. But I'm like, I wonder if it's those people's drones.
Probably.
And aren't you not allowed to fly drones in a national park?
I don't know.
Hey, wait, where'd it go? I don't know where it went. It went like behind the tree.
Oh, look like we got a storm coming.
I know, it really does look like we have a storm coming. But it's okay because we're almost about to wrap this up anyway.
Okay, yes, we are.
But for real, this has been fun.
No,
You
this
know?
is really fun. Yeah.
Like, just diving into what reality could be, what reality is for us individually, but also collectively.
This feels like a think tank out here. You know?
Exactly. Exactly. And so to come to the conclusion of the podcast, what do you think reality is? And where do you think it could be in the future?
Yeah, we should do that though. Like at the end of every episode, just trying to put it in like one little, like summarize it, like what you think it was, what it is, and what you think it will be. I think that reality used to be a lot more controlled in a societal mass way. Mm-hmm. And I think people weren't aware of how much control they had. Yeah. I feel like now we are becoming aware of how much control we have. And we have been becoming more and more aware of that control. And then in the future, I feel like it's going to turn all the way the fuck around, to be honest. And we're going to have so much control of our own realities that we're not going to realize that we have our own individual reality.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be so customized to us that it's going to loop around all the way back up.
Yeah.
Like a fucking Russian doll.
Yeah. Because it's going to be so customizable between the ARs, the VRs,
the AIs,
what you experience, the AIs, all of that. So customizable to where we're living in our own world. To where, do you think we'll lose our empathy and our compassion for other people because we live in our own realities?
I feel like we could lose like physical connection.
Yeah.
Because if your reality became so specific to you that we're not even going to care about.
I'm not even thinking
Josie's reality over there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know Josie. She might be in my reality, but is Josie how I want her to be Josie?
Exactly.
So it's like, bitch,
exactly.
It's crazy.
And I feel a very similar way, where it's like, I feel like reality is going to get so customizable to where we lose touch with people on a human level. And we do get to a point to where we feel like we don't need to be around other people, or we don't need to hear other people's experiences, because I feel like mine is so customized that I feel like I am getting other people's experiences, but are you really?
Yeah. And and it's sad because social media has almost gotten us there. There's a lot of people that only have online friends, especially these younger kids.
Yeah.
They're, like you said, bed rotting. Like in the room, scrolling through social media, eating shit, letting it pile up around them.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot.
No, but that's what I love about this podcast, and what we're going to continue to do is like dive into different topics, because throughout this you guys might hear something like frequencies or timelines or VR ARs, and then we could take that specific thing based on what we talked about, what reality could be for us, and then break that down.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? On a separate episode.
Because this, honestly, is probably going to be one of the most vague episodes. Because it's just, we have to talk about what the fuck reality was. It's our fucking the name.
It's the name. Yeah.
So, we're starting from the vaguest thing, but everything is inclusive within reality, which is really cool.
Within reality.
But everything we can dive into so fucking deep. Because everything is so complex, and everything is on a spectrum. And then the spectrum keeps getting bigger and bigger the more time passes.
Oh, that bird is huge. Hey, birdie. I just love how there's been like things just like flying above us, between drones to like it looked like a fucking fighter jet. Yeah. To now like big ass birds.
And there's a storm coming too, apparently.
And there's a storm coming. So we should probably wrap this up. Yeah. But I've really enjoyed this episode, and I'm glad that we finally have gotten here. Yeah. After all the trials and tribulations and obstacles that it has given us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm really happy that we finally got this done. Yeah. And even though you wanted to stop us, I'm glad that I pushed this through. I know. I know, I really am. And to really end it, you guys, just remember to love each other, to give respect to people, and to set boundaries and let people know how to respect you and how to treat you. Because I feel like that's what we need in the world today, is that we can all have our different opinions and realities and our upbringings. Yeah. But we can also be respectful to other people's opinions, realities, and situations, and love each other. Exactly. And learn from each other's experiences. Yeah. And hopefully we don't have to literally live in our separate realities with our customized version of each other.
In order to enjoy life.
Yeah, like we should not please stop. AI, if you're out there, don't do it. Yeah. We don't need that.
And just also just like get back to humanity and connecting and loving one another.
Loving each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I love you.
Loving each other. I love you too. But this has been such a great episode. I can't wait until we get into further episodes. Our next episode is going to be on social media since we've already filmed it.
We've already done it, so it's ready for y'all. We did it in the future and the past.
Yeah.
Reality.
My glasses.
Oh my god. The reality of him is that he loves to lose and break glasses.
Accessories in general. Yeah. Like I'm always just like breaking accessories in general.
But anyways, let's end this episode before we keep going and you lose your glasses.
Exactly. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to our very first episode of Experience Reality. I seriously hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you guys leave us a review wherever you listen to this podcast, either on Spotify, Apple Music, and I highly suggest YouTube.
We need to end this.
We're going down again. The glasses are like, cut.
Wrap it up right
this
now.
Shit up, bitch. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed the episode. And let us know in the comments what you guys thought of today's episode. What is reality to you? Because I would love to open up that conversation. And make sure you guys are following us on all social media platforms. Experience Reality _pod. Anything you would like to say before we close out?
No, thank you guys so much for watching our first episode of Experience Reality. Like you said, just be interactive. Let us know anything that if you just had a thought while we were talking and you want to comment, please let us know what you thought. And yeah, just follow us as Experience Reality on all platforms, and we'll see you next time on Experience Reality. That was a good one. Let's do it one more time.
I didn't know you were about to go into it. But I appreciate you guys so much for listening to today's episode of Experience Reality.
Was that good?
It's okay. Either way. Love you guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Experience Reality with Jorge and Nasir. For more episodes, subscribe to Experience Reality on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform, and follow us on social media, Experience Reality Pod. Got questions, feedback, or ideas? Drop us a message and email us at experiencerealitypod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, keep exploring, keep questioning, and experience reality.